listening to the Retail Razor Show, where your expert hosts and their guests cut through the clutter in retail and retail tech to shape the future of retail.
Hello and welcome to the second episode of Season 5 of the Retail Razor Show, one of many podcasts in the growing Retail Razor Podcast Network, where we bring you the practical knowledge you need to stay ahead in the retail world. I'm Ricardo Belmar.
And I'm Casey Golden. Welcome to the Retail Razor fans and followers to retail's favorite podcast, where we cut through the clutter to give you sharp insights on what's happening in retail today and tomorrow. It's a show for product junkies, commerce technologists, retail leaders, and everyone else in retail and retail tech alike.
Well, Casey, we are off to a fantastic start to Season 5, just coming away from our opening episode on the evolution of retail media with Drew Cashmore. And this week, we're really squeezing the maximum amount of juice out of our podcasting fruit for our listeners and viewers on a topic we haven't circled back around to in a while.
Okay, first of all, you didn't really think I'd let you get away with that terrible fruit juice comment in there, did you?
I was hopeful. Are
you cleansing? I'm pretty sure you said in the last episode, and it's been banned.
All right. All right. Well, I thought that one was pretty good, though. I mean, you have to admit it's better than my pop culture references from last season, right?
I know. We really got to get you up. I don't think you're doom scrolling enough on TikTok.
I'll have to spend more time in my feed.
Yeah, we got to get you some new material here. But I will give you that. I'm not sure that's setting a high enough bar for it. So getting back on topic for this week.
Yeah, I guess we've squeezed that one as far as it'll go.
Oh, God.
I had to try. Okay, but really, we're coming back to e-commerce and marketplaces in our overall theme this episode, with a sprinkle of Gen Z marketing tactics thrown into the mix. How does that sound?
Yeah, I mean, and thinking about how some of our most downloaded episodes have been about the future of e-commerce and developing new strategies for digital marketing, it was about time we focused on marketing for a bit.
Yeah, 100%. In past episodes, we've talked about social commerce too, and social media as a tactic or strategy, I should say in general, and how Facebook, Instagram, they're probably just not cutting it like they used to in the glory days of DTC, are they?
Well, let's just say your marketing spend doesn't go quite as far as it used to on those platforms. And Now you toss in TikTok shops, the impact of Gen AI on how consumers shop. Mm-hmm. And let's not forget about Gen Z. I mean, what is it with Gen Z shoppers anyway?
That's right. Yeah, that's right. So fortunately for us, working with our good friends over in the team at eTail West, they were kind enough to help us out here and connected us with today's guest, Christopher Carl, the U.S. head of marketing for AliExpress. And now tell me, Casey, have you shopped at AliExpress before?
No, but I have shopped with Alibaba before.
Ah, okay. Very good. So I have to admit, I've browsed for some things there before too, and I haven't really shopped enough to made a purchase yet. I've been tempted. So I think this is going to be a really interesting conversation where we're probably both going to learn a lot about AliExpress and some of the really interesting things they're doing there that we might have missed.
Yes, I think we're all going to learn quite a few interesting things about AliExpress this episode from Chris. I mean, if you just look at his background for a minute to set the stage for the conversation, let's just read a little bit from his official bio from the eTail show. It's quite impressive. Chris Carl is a strategy, operations, and marketing executive with an established track record of building multi-million-dollar businesses, leading and growing cross-functional teams, and developing and executing go-to-market plans for agencies and brands within the retail, beauty, spirits, lifestyle, hospitality, and luxury goods space. Mm-hmm. I'm already a fan. You get me at luxury goods.
Now, as the first U.S. head of marketing for AliExpress, Chris's primary goal has been to develop and deploy robust business strategies to not only help promote the brand, but also empower the American consumer. So, yeah, that's a pretty lofty aspirational goal there. I think that's quite a challenge, I would say, for a brand like AliExpress.
And part of what makes this episode is going to be so compelling. Since joining the team in May of 23, Chris has contributed to growing AliExpress order volume by 60% year over year, helped grow the U.S. brand share of voice by more than 75%, in 1 year and bolstered the US headcount by 400%.
Wow.
Increased the brand's cross-border social media following by 500% in the US, and increased brand awareness by 100%.
Wow.
This is totally our kind of people.
Those are some serious accomplishments. I cannot wait to hear more from Chris and get all the juicy details on how he's done this. So what do you say we jump on into the conversation?
Absolutely. Let's just go. Here's our conversation with Chris Carl, US Head of Marketing for AliExpress, on what we're calling the new playbook for digital marketing.
Welcome to the Retail Razor Show, Chris. We are incredibly excited to have you here today.
This is a real treat to have you on the show and share your knowledge and experience on what we like to call the new playbook for digital marketing.
So, Chris, in our intro, we highlighted a number of tidbits from your background, experience, which we picked up from the great session you participated in at Retail West, ranging from some of your previous experience as well as what your current role at AliExpress now, and really include some, I think, really astounding achievements in there around increasing the brand's cross-platform social media following, growing order volume by, I think it was 60% year over year, growing US brand share of voice more than 75% in year one. I mean, these are great results. And I believe you were speaking about how to reach Gen Z consumers and how that might require some differences or nuances and different tactics and things. So obviously things are definitely going right to be able to get results like that. So we're going to get into that in a minute. But maybe the best way for us to start off is give us a little bit of your background and how you got to your current role at AliExpress.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here. Yeah, a quick background. I'm originally from Germany. I'm from an ad and marketing family. We always talked about marketing, ad campaigns. My grandfather actually worked on Madison Avenue in the 60s for J. Walter Thompson, and he always talked about his favorite account at the time, which was Pan Am. So he worked for them, did their campaigns. He was a creative director. So he always talks about these very crazy trips that he took with them, shooting ads on remote beaches in Brazil. So that always very much got me excited about this space. And so after graduating, I joined BBDO in Munich and got to work on some really, really cool campaigns. But what really stuck with me was one project in particular where it was a go-to-market project for a European hospitality brand. And they were looking to enter the Swiss market. And I got to lead that, which was super fascinating. The whole go-to-market concept of bringing commercial strategy together with marketing strategy and local adaptations to a specific environment really, really captivated me. And that kind of became the common denominator of my career. So after that stint at BBDO, I was hired by a leading European influencer marketing agency. They hired me to open their US offices. So I moved to New York, brought that agency here, scaled them up over the course of a little over 3 years before I then launched my own brand in the men's grooming space. So did the full entrepreneurial thing, grew that brand over the course of about 4 years, exited, and then was tapped by Alibaba to build out the US marketing team for the consumer brand, AliExpress. And so that's what the team and I have been doing over the past 2 years. We're growing the team, building out our US focused strategies, and it's been an amazing ride.
It's a very rich history there. Thank you for sharing. I'm excited to jump into the topic and hearing more, especially after your Retail West session. So let's talk about cracking the code with Gen Z and some marketing strategies that work. AliExpress has seen massive growth in brand awareness and engagement in the US. What marketing strategies have been like the most effective in capturing Gen Z's attention? And how do they differ from traditional retail marketing approaches that many of our audience listeners are familiar with?
Yeah, great first question. So we actually did a little bit of a pulse check on the Gen Z consumer last year. We did a consumer insights report with Census-Wide, a research company based out of the UK. And what we found out is that Gen Z customers are extremely willing to switch brands if it means that they can save some money. I think more than 70% of Gen Z customers are willing to switch brands. And we mentioned the e-tail panel that I was on a few weeks ago. I was on the panel with a bunch of Gen Z participants, and they all fully agreed. We talked about that point in particular. They were all like, yeah, I'm totally going to switch brands if it means I can save some money, right? And so that's obviously huge, right? what does that mean for players in the retail and e-commerce space? Number one, I think it means that brand loyalty is waning. But number two, it's also a huge opportunity, right? If you have a strong value proposition and if you have a really robust marketing strategy that authentically speaks to that audience, there's a tremendous opportunity there to tap into those consumers. And that's, I think, something that we have done really, really well, especially over the past 2 years, is really stepping into that moment. Number one, our value proposition really meets the moment. Diversity of product and affordability is, of course, paramount right now. In actually a very recent census-wide study that we did just a couple of weeks ago, we found out that more than 60% of consumers in 2025 will focus on saving money. And they're 7 times more likely to shop very intentional versus impulsive. And so that's a huge shift in consumer mindset. Obviously, we've seen since the pandemic a huge shift in terms of purchasing behavior, more towards saving, towards prioritizing value. But this is still getting stronger as we speak. We're in very uncertain times, as we all know.
That's right.
And so our value proposition really meets the moment there. And then number two, in terms of marketing strategies, we have really developed a very, very integrated full funnel approach in how we engage with Gen Z. And I think a great example of that is, for instance, last year, we sponsored the UEFA Soccer Cup. Might ask, why soccer in the US? It's a European soccer cup. But if you look at MLS and soccer in the US, it's one of the fastest growing spectator sports. It's also one of the youngest. So 60% of viewers are under 35. And so when we looked at the numbers, YouGov came out with a study last year that indicated that more than half of Gen Z consumers in the US were planning on watching the cup in the US. So that's quite staggering.
Yeah.
And we saw it in the numbers. So if you look at the Fox ratings, they actually went up 30% compared to the 2020 Cup. And soccer is now the 4th most popular sport in terms of viewership in the US. And if you drill down an age category lower, if you look at teenagers, it's actually tied with baseball for number 3. So you can really see that soccer is a phenomenal opportunity. And that is something that we wanted to leverage for these reasons, because it's also something that we could get at a price premium, at a price discount. Those media assets were very attractive for us. And so the campaign that we built around UEFA was really through the line. It incorporated, obviously, a focus on Fox being present with our ad campaign during the pregame, during the halftime. But then there was a dedicated social media approach where we really focused on Instagram and TikTok, which had a completely different set of hero assets, where we really wanted to speak to our Gen Z audience, including high intent moments like CTV that we used quite significantly. And then I think where the real magic happened is our ambassador was David Beckham. So we signed him for
international
for that campaign. Obviously, superstar, massive reach, more than 100 million followers across social, gave us instant credibility, instant trust, instant reach. But he was also a cultural connector, right? He embodies the sport of soccer. So using him to appeal to not just the European audience, but the US as well. He played for LA Galaxy. He is part owner of the Inter Miami. So he carries a lot of weight here in the US as well. And so that worked phenomenally in terms of assets that we created with him. And then last but not least, we added a really cool feature, which at the time was very, very novel. We call it Shake and Win. So what that means is during the soccer tournament, you were literally able to shake your AliExpress app for a chance to win millions of prizes. So every time a goal was scored during the tournament, you were prompted to shake the app, and with a little bit of luck, you could win smartphones, computers, coffee makers, coupons. And that happened every day throughout the tournament. And so that physicality of bringing the game and the shopping experience together, especially something that's very rare in the digital shopping realm, is something that went absolutely viral. Word of mouth, really boosted downloads, monthly active users shot up. So the campaign was hugely successful. We generated close to 500 million impressions, which is really Super Bowl caliber.
Wow.
We shot to the number 3 position in terms of purchase intent among Gen Z audiences. So right after Walmart and Amazon, which was huge for us, double-digit growth in terms of brand awareness. And so if you do these things right, if you do it all encompassing and everything kind of connects, it can have tremendous impact. And Ricardo, we actually just talked about it. We're currently running our March campaign, our anniversary sale. AliExpress is celebrating 16 years anniversary. We actually just topped the number 3 most downloaded e-commerce app in the US in the Google Play Store. So clearly what we're doing and how we're resonating with our audience is working for us.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I can attest to this approach with soccer. So my 18-year-old, he and his friends, if you engage them in any kind of a conversation, it will always lead to something about soccer player stats, especially for all of the European soccer leagues. I mean, you could probably name any team and they'll rattle off 20 minutes worth of stats on all of the top players. So it's absolutely, you're absolutely right.
Nice.
There is definitely a moment there with appealing to soccer in Gen Z.
Who's his favorite team?
So he has been a Barcelona fan for many, many years. And although interestingly, it was mostly because he was a Messi fan. He's sort of followed to Inter Miami now a little bit, but still a Barcelona fan. But if you ask him what his favorite league is, it would be the English Premier League.
Okay, cool. So he might have seen the AliExpress campaign.
Probably, yeah, he probably did. Yeah, no doubt.
Is AliExpress working with a lot of influencers in the US? And how do you find the right ones in such a crowded space?
Yeah, absolutely. Influencers are really key for us. And I think, obviously every brand works with influencers. It's super important. It's come a long way since, I told you earlier, 10 years ago, I brought this agency to the US and influencer marketing was the absolute Wild West. You could pay somebody $20 and it would absolutely blow up and reach millions of people.
Right.
Very different now. And I think cutting through the clutter, Case, to your point, like how do you reach audiences? How do you do it effectively is a big challenge. But it's something we've mastered quite well. And it's something we've been working on over the past couple of months. For us, I think the key is really to make it not a transactional collaboration, but really a partnership. And so we've been building an internal system of how to work with influencers through our own team. And at this point, we're working with thousands of influencers on a monthly basis across all different kinds of product categories, whether that's tech, fashion, beauty. The interesting part for us is we let influencers sign up voluntarily onto our platform. So there's no scripted campaign that we send their way. It's usually rooted in they sign up on our platform and then they get to choose the products that they want to feature.
Okay.
And so there are a bunch of different campaigns that they can sign up for. It's very, very geared towards what they authentically want to talk about, and keyword being authenticity. Of course, this freedom of choice to hey, I want to feature hair extensions, or I want to show this scooter. That really makes influencer marketing very, very successful, and that has worked extremely well for us. Secondly, I think what we tried to do with this platform is to make it very scalable and accessible. So whether you're a nano influencer, a macro influencer, micro influencer, it's very easy to sign up. It's a very streamlined process. And because of the insane product depth that we have at AliExpress, there's literally something for everybody in there. So like I said, if you're a hair extension expert, or if you're a tech geek, you're probably going to find exactly what you're looking for and what your audience is looking for. And really meeting the creators where they are and letting them tell their story through this approach and this platform has had really significant effect on, of course, our GMV, but also on the influencers. They love it as well. And so that's how we approach it. And besides the GMV aspect, it's of course also a fantastic source of content for our social channels, right? I mean, UGC is, of course, for the most part, the most successful type of content. And so working with these thousands of creators that authentically talk about our brand and how excited they are, that, of course, works very well in our organic social approach.
That's impressive. Let's keep digging a little more into your whole social media, so maybe social commerce approach. Obviously, the UGC must be a big component of that, especially with this influencer program. One of the stats I saw as we were coming into this discussion was how we've grown the cross-platform social following by 500% in the US. So it sounds like the influencer piece must have played a big part of that, especially around UGC content in your overall strategy. But how do you look at your social strategy in general and turning that engagement into conversions after you built all of this community, particularly around Gen Z?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, social media is, as we already talked about, it's absolutely paramount for our strategy in the US. Over 95% of Gen Z use social media for purchase inspiration. So it's a no-brainer that social has to be on point and it has to be relevant for that audience. And so there are two main components that, of course, come together to make a social strategy work, and that's the channel and the content strategy. We did, in fact, grow social media channels by our US-based social media channels by over 500%. But we're also very honored that we're allowed to manage the global social media accounts that amount to over 70 million followers globally. So
Wow.
huge opportunity for us as
Yeah.
the US team to have that dialogue with our audience. And as it relates to the channel strategy, we take a very native channel approach to each individual platform. So we don't, for the most part, copy paste content across the channels, or really look at what does each channel do best.
Right.
So for TikTok, that's entertainment content, that's memes, that's trend-driven pieces, where we try to be more of just another social media participant rather than a brand pushing product. Instagram is a little more aesthetically storytelling focused, where you will see a little bit more stylized product posts while still trying to stay out fun and lighthearted. X is fantastic for culture-driven one-liners where we can be part of the conversation. But I think what's really fascinating for us and what has been kind of a sleeper success is Pinterest, which I think sometimes gets neglected a little.
Gets forgotten.
And for us, it drives millions of clicks and views per month.
Wow.
It's a platform where people really come with high intent and inspo-driven search around home goods, fashion. And so our content strategy as it relates to Pinterest is very much creating evergreen, very shoppable posts that inspire people, like I said, mainly in the home and fashion category. Something else that's always also really top of mind for us in the social space is community management. So it's not just what we post, but also what we say. We don't just talk at our audience. We try to be part of conversations that are relevant to culture, relevant to the zeitgeist that's going on in social. And so constantly scanning all platforms for where can we contribute? Where can we be funny? Where can we maybe pick up some great visibility? Identifying posts that are about to go viral or are going viral and inserting ourselves in that conversation. It's always fun to then see people being like, "What's Ali doing in here?" Right? It's really cool, and our team does a great job at that. And that in itself gets us millions of impressions. Just being part of these conversations, and then always being on top of what's going on in the social media landscape in general. It's a very dynamic space here in the US, as we know. Lots of conversations about new social media platforms.
Right.
How do we foster those or leverage those changes? How do we become a first mover, which would give us a massive edge if we are able to capture audiences on new platforms that are emerging? So we're always trying to stay on top of what's happening, and that's what's enabled us to grow so significantly.
Having the brands communicate in the comment section on TikTok has been one of like my favorite moments. So many air high fives. I'm like, yes, thank you. Participate. And it is this huge fear traditionally for brands to have a voice and to come down into the comment section and to engage with customers and the average consumer. So I've really enjoyed it, especially having these brands like going back and forth in the comment section. I love seeing it. And I'm hoping that we'll see more brands not fear having those conversations and being part of the discussion. So I think it's really great.
Yeah, it's super fun. It humanizes the brand too, right? It's
100%.
Our goal is not just to be a storefront with a catalog on Instagram. It's really, oh, cool. AliExpress is cool.
Yeah.
They're talking to us.
Adding that personality for sure. This landscape of digital marketing is essentially on this massive shift. And we get asked all the time, what's the new playbook? For years, we've had this predictable mix with the rise of e-com, where it's email, Facebook, Google, Instagram, where you didn't really even have to think about it too much. It's just like you're dividing your dollars. These are the platforms to drive engagement and conversions. But with, in my opinion, an aging Facebook audience, more and more abandoned Instagram accounts, and TikTok's uncertainty for its future, the landscape is anything but stable right now.
For sure.
With that kind of in mind, you've mentioned a lot of platforms that I didn't just mention, going out onto the edges. If e-commerce brands are chasing like the next big innovation or the next social channel or social selling aspect, what do you think that looooks like? Being part of one of the biggest companies in tech, how do you guys approach getting ahead of the next channels? Where do you think that this is going? Has a playbook really shifted for 2025 going forward, where we kind of have to take what we knew before and just shelve it?
Yeah, I don't think we have to shelve it, but yeah, you're absolutely right. There's a lot going on. And I think there are two components to this question. If we look at innovation and innovation in the social media space and changing strategies there. So let's start with social. I think, as I just mentioned, for us, it's really important to always try to be on top of all channels that are out there and how to leverage them and really meet our audience where they're at. And they're experimenting too, right? They are also experiencing this uncertainty on the platforms. And also they want to explore new platforms all the time. So whether that's people migrating from one platform to the other, or a new platform pops up and totally changes the game, our goal is to always be part of these conversations. And that will, as long as we know where our audience is, we know how to engage with them. And so whether that's one platform or the other, we'll just adapt to whatever is happening in the social media landscape. But I think one development that I think we might see this year or next is live shopping, right? I think TikTok is kind of like the 1.0 version of that, where we see social commerce really taking off. But if you look at Asia, more than half of consumers regularly use live shopping, right? And so we really think that could be something that the US embraces in the near future. And so we, of course, are also ready for that development. We've integrated a live shopping feature into our app, which is basically ready to go whenever it really, really takes off here. But I think that's just the next iteration in social commerce, if you will. So I think there are going to be a lot of interesting things happening there. And then as it relates,
can I ask you so we're big fans of the live shopping as well, and we're kind of proponents of that, and expecting it to go bigger here as well. I'm curious, and do you view that as also being tied to your influencer strategy in a big way, or is that still maybe an unknown?
I mean, influencers would arguably be one of the biggest components of successful live shopping, as they are the best advocate and the best host for those that kind of programming. So to have people authentically and in a very excited way talk about products, I mean, there's no better match for that. Yeah. And for them, it's also usually an incentive to do a great job because they get compensated if the programs are properly structured. So it's a win-win for everybody. You have influencers talking about products that they truly care about. They participate in the success of the brand, of the marketplaces, and ultimately the consumers have a better experience in looking for and finding products, because let's face it, the abundance of choice and what you can buy these days is unlimited. And so having influencers cut through the clutter and show you their favorites is very, very valuable. And so, like I said, I think we're one step away from live shopping. We're almost there. The components are already all there. Right. It's just more of a consumer mindset shift. And that sometimes can happen overnight.
That is very true.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Mess with one channel and a lot of stuff can happen overnight.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No idea what tomorrow's going to look like.
That's right.
My Mandarin took an uptick last month.
Did you see those Duolingo ads earlier in the year?
Oh, yeah.
It was incredible. And I'm like, I really love the authenticity and the humor that some of these brands have taken. And it does humanize them. And it does create advocates where it makes it easier to switch. I'm somebody who would never switch brands. Very hard to switch brands. I will pay extra. I pay extra for the label. I believe I'm a very brand loyal consumer. Although I'm just loyal in general. I think I used my dry cleaner that was ended up being 15 miles away from me, because I'm like, no, it's my dry cleaner. I'm going the extra now, even though I don't live there anymore.
No, there's a lot of comfort and convenience in going to the same place. I agree.
Yeah, it takes something off my plate, right? I don't have to think about it. I don't have to worry about it. But it does now feel like so many brands are, when you see something like the Duolingo ads and Mr. Peanut, brain crushing. What is going on over there?
Yeah.
These are brands that I haven't thought about. I don't have a preference. It's not a primary, but then it makes other brands feel stale and maybe too comfortable and feel like they're abandoning the customer or you. And you're like, gosh, they've never spoken to me. They've never engaged me. They've never tried to get me. Yeah, I'll switch, because they're in my daily conversations. Or I always say, bring customers joy, and laughter is a joy. And when brands can make you laugh, there is an emotional pull there.
100%.
Yeah,
there
absolutely.
is a memory making moment, and it's impactful. When you can laugh out loud at something, there's not a lot that can really do that in general life, right? Like, I think my first year in New York, I went to comedy shows because I realized I hadn't laughed in 8 months since I moved to New York. I'm like, I need to laugh. I literally went to comedy shows by myself just to feel like more human and more natural. And I think that the brands taking on these personalities and really, really engaging in video commerce, in this social community, it is a new fabric. And there is a lot of traditional retail and a lot of departments that are still very fearful of being that real and not being so edited. So hearing it from like an AliExpress that is able to get 500 million impressions, it does force everyone else to get out of that mindset that everything's a secret and there's nothing to fear other than being left behind.
Yeah, absolutely. I fully agree. And I mean, we had the great advantage of really starting clean slate here in the US when we started the team here 2 years ago. And humor and approachability and, becoming part of the conversation, kind of a two-way conversation has worked really well for us. And it sets us apart from a lot of other, like you said, Casey, retailers and maybe more legacy brands in the space that are maybe not as comfortable with exploring those boundaries.
Yeah. Well, and this is such a hyper-competitive market in the US, particularly around e-commerce. We've been finding ways to stand out. And obviously, you're doing amazing things to accomplish that now. These have all been great examples. Are there other things apart from the social presence, the personality that the brand shows, influencers, or other ways that you're exploring to stand out from all the other e-commerce brands out there?
Yeah, absolutely. I think what really helps us stand out is pretty much the fundamentals of our business model. If we look at the principle that we were founded on, it was really connecting sellers from around the world with consumers. And when we set out to do that for the first time, there were so many middlemen involved, distributors, all of that making the process more expensive, longer, and ultimately not really benefiting the customer. And so when we set out to do that, it really changed the game. And like I said, Ricardo, we were the OG in the cross-border business space. And so Alibaba as a group has had a very similar approach since its founding over 25 years ago, really connecting sellers with buyers in the most seamless way, leading to incredible product diversity across our platform. And so that model has been extremely successful. We now serve over 100 million customers globally in over 200 countries. And so really this idea of offering the most product diversity possible at a very affordable price point has really worked very, very well for us. So most people probably know us for electronics or beauty products or fashion items, but we've actually sold over 2,000 excavators in the US over the past couple of years.
Wow.
Excavators, yeah. Dozens of tractors. We sell houses, jet skis, jacuzzis, you name it. So it's, yes, if you're coming to us for a makeup brush and an iPhone charger, awesome. But if you're here for heavy machinery, we got you too. So that's really something that sets us apart from a majority of the e-commerce players. And like I said earlier, we're celebrating our 15th birthday right now in March 2010. March we were founded, and so just that fact alone shows that clearly our business model is very successful, that it's working. But it also comes with a trust advantage. So when we talk about the census-wide study that we did earlier, half of the respondents agree that actually us being around for 15 years is a huge trust advantage. And so that I think also puts us in a really good spot compared to, let's say, more newer e-commerce players.
Right.
And I think many people don't fully realize that we have been around for 15 years, which is impressive.
Guilty. Guilty. So I've really been looking forward to having you on the show and talking about this because I am one of those people. I live on the bougie side of commerce.
That's okay.
I overspend on everything. And I don't explore a lot. And so as we go into this whole discovery opportunity with brands and with products, the AliExpress has expanded its US presence, having it around for 15 years. It is one of those things like, oh, I didn't realize I don't have a problem giving you my money. So I mean, definitely a lower barrier there. But I've on the business side, I don't talk to a lot of brands that are really taking advantage of this because they didn't know that they could. And so as you are expanding your US presence, what strategies are in place to bring on more sellers to the platform? And what types of brands and retail stand to benefit the most from participating? What does that look like for more brands to join?
No, great point. And it's something that we're really, really excited about. We, of course, our mission is always to offer our customers the best possible selection. Like I said, that has been our core tenet from the get-go. And that means also bringing on the best of what domestic markets have to offer. So onboarding US sellers is a huge focus for us. It is also a fantastic opportunity for the sellers themselves. And so actually just this week, we launched the AliExpress local marketplace platform, which is a self-serve platform for usually larger sellers that already have substantial business operations here in the US. They can tap into the millions of customers that are on AliExpress and tap into that vast market. And we launched that this week alongside our AliExpress local direct program, which we launched in October of last year. And the direct program is more for smaller businesses that need more support as it relates to pricing and merchandising and marketing. And so with these two programs, we really think that we can offer pretty much businesses of any size a fantastic opportunity to tap into all these millions of consumers that are regularly shopping on AliExpress. And we've seen tremendous success since launching. We've onboarded and had a really, really significant number of local sellers come onto the platform. What we also recently launched is the AliExpress local open API, which ties directly into the e-commerce automation softwares that these sellers are using. So Linworks, for example, which basically means that we're dramatically cutting down the onboarding time of these sellers. And then once onboarded, they can really, really seamlessly manage their pricing, inventory levels, all those things to really provide for a very, very easy and convenient solution of selling through AliExpress. So we think it's a great time for sellers, for them to expand their omnichannel strategy here in the US. And we're excited to see where this is going.
It's great. And you guys are pretty active in supporting these local partners with shipping and logistics.
Yes.
Which I think for a lot of brands, cross-border is still a big challenge for them. So I understand you guys can cut that down into a little bit more prescriptive.
Yeah, absolutely. We make it super easy for those sellers to not just onboard, but also get their ops started. We have one-on-one sessions with them where we walk them through the whole process. We have the first few months free of charge where they can join the platform and just really, really see how well it works for them. So it's really just like for the consumers, for the sellers, the goal is to really cut down on all the things that might be a challenge for selling locally.
It's amazing.
That's amazing. Really amazing in the same way that we always talk about reducing friction for consumers, or really reducing the friction for the local sellers to really expand their e-commerce capability that way and reach more customers. So let's look a little bit maybe further down the road. I think it's safe to say cross-border shopping is growing across the board. And as you mentioned before, right, Alibaba from the beginning is the OG in cross-border. So you guys have a lot of experience to draw on that and to create these kinds of programs to help sellers. Where do you see this kind of future evolution going for global e-commerce? What role does a platform like AliExpress play in that? What does that next generation of online retail look like for you?
Great question. I mean, the core principle of Alibaba is to make it easy to do business everywhere, right? And that's kind of what we embody both for local sellers and for global sellers. So if we look at the cross-border piece, I mean, that has proven to be incredibly successful, not just for the consumer, gives them more choice, more affordable price points, but also for sellers, for small businesses to suddenly reach a ginormous audience, global audience. And so we think that cross-border commerce is really something that enables businesses and consumers alike. But at the same time, as I mentioned, I think building out the local seller piece is just as important to kind of offer the consumers the best possible mix of both worlds, giving them the best of what global commerce has to offer. And so if you're asking about what's that next iteration of cross-border, I think we're already in this very new and very seamless way of cross-border shopping. I think that has been the biggest change to really make cross-border shopping easy convenient, fast. Technology has been dramatically reducing friction and barriers to global commerce. The shopping experience has been dramatically improved through logistics and AI-supported search functionalities, customer service improvements. So it's really that whole customer side of the equation and how they experience the process and how easy it has become. I think that'll just continue over the next couple of years and it'll become more frictionless. But ultimately, I think cross-border will really want to see how we can open up this ecosystem to as many stakeholders as possible and have them all benefit from it, whether that's global sellers, local sellers, ultimately the consumer, of course. Yeah, so it's an exciting time to be in cross-border, and it'll be great to see how it evolves.
Yeah, definitely. It's a 2025 is just a very interesting time with a lot of different shifts.
It really is.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've been waiting for this for a long time to get with the program with retail and technology and innovation and bring the consumers and the brands, try and get them all in the same space on the same page to move forward.
Right.
And it sounds like you guys are really like leading the way and sharing that playbook with everyone that it is working. And these are the ways you can do it without some of that legacy fear that still lingers. This conversation has been very enlightening, Chris. Really appreciate you sharing all of your thoughts and insights on e-commerce marketplaces, connecting with Gen Z. I hope everyone listening had their notebooks out. I know I took a handful of notes. There were some incredible takeaways. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Casey. Thank you, Ricardo.
Yeah.
Awesome speaking to you both.
Yeah, this has been really amazing, just given all the results that you've achieved. Obviously, a promising future ahead for the space and for your success and AliExpress. I know, like Casey said, my notebook is full of notes here from everything that we've talked about. So we're really hoping can have you come back again, Chris, in the future and see how things are going and share some of the next set of accomplishments you guys have.
Would love to. Absolutely.
Well, Ricardo, I think this episode is a wrap. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you for having me.
If you enjoyed our show, please consider giving us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Good Pods. Remember to smash that subscribe button in your favorite podcast player or like and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a minute. A big thank you to our amazing Good Pods listeners for helping us consistently rise to the top 3 spots in indie management, marketing, podcast charts every episode. I'm your co-host, Casey Golden.
Please follow us and share your feedback at Retail Razor on LinkedIn, Blue Sky, Threads, and Instagram. If you want to preview each episode right in your email inbox, just subscribe to our Substack newsletter for highlights and full episode transcripts. I'm your host, Ricardo Belmar.
Thanks for joining us.
Until next time, keep cutting through the clutter and stay sharp. This is the Retail Razor Show.